Welcome to today's show, Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Burgess, passionate, inspirational speaker, author, poet, and entrepreneur. Good morning, and welcome to Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. Today is Wednesday, November 7th. I want to give a big thank you to those of you who are listening in today, and here's a great big shout out to all of you listening around the world. I'm delighted and so very grateful that you tuned in. I sure hope you are enjoying a fabulous day today and that you're having a fantastic week, because you know what? In the grand song of the universe, life is very, very short. It's short and sweet and oh so precious. So I hope you're making a difference in your own life, because when you do, you also make a difference in someone else's life. Now, a lot of folks want to make their life count for something, and they ask me, Dr. Gloria, how do you do that? Well, it's simple, very simple. You make your life count day by day, step by step, moment by moment, every single day, 365, 24/7. That's what Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count is all about. You can learn more about Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count by visiting the Gloria Burgess website. That's Gloria, B as in boy, URGESS.com, the Gloria Burgess website, or by visiting Facebook, and that's facebook.com/DR for Dr. DrGloriaBurgess PhD/. All right. Today, I want to talk with you about leadership. Now, you know, if you're a regular listener, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Specifically, we're going to focus on choices. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Karen Aloy, and she's going to share about her life and work and some of the key moments in her life that have shaped and molded her into the leader she is today, and how those moments helped to lay a foundation for making solid choices in her own life, and how she supports others in doing the same in their life. So, who is Karen Aloy? Well, like many of my guests, Karen wears many different hats. Karen is a leader in her field, and she is passionate about working alongside her clients to design and create solutions to the challenges that get in the way of their desired results. She's a passionate, lifelong learner, and Karen is also an imaginative, creative spirit. She's also a trusted friend. If I had to choose just one word to describe her, I'd say that Karen is inspired. Her personal mantra is celebrate the unique fingerprint that is your life. I just love that. Celebrate the unique fingerprint that is your life. Now, later on in the show, Karen is going to share more with us about what that particular mantra means to her and why it's so important in her life. As I think about Karen and the years that I've known her, another word that comes to mind is influencer. As I mentioned earlier, Karen wears many, many hats. She's founder and CEO of A Loyal Vision, LLC, and in her company, she's a consultant, coach, and certified public accountant, a CPA. As you listen to today's show, Karen will share her passion about her work and how she serves others. She'll also share a bit about her journey and how a pivotal event in her early years shaped and influenced her to become the person she is today. Karen is happily married to her high school sweetheart, and his name is Danny. She's also the proud mom of 2 grown children, and she says her life would not be complete without her 4-legged friends. Karen is a leader who makes a difference in her own life, in her family, in her community, and in the lives of so many others throughout the world. As I said earlier, to me, Karen is very inspiring. I met her through our mutual affiliation with the John Maxwell team. So I've had the very special privilege of talking with Karen about what matters to her. I've also been blessed to witness her passion when she talks about giving back and serving others. In fact, when I first heard her story, she was so passionate and humble. And I thought to myself, yes, this is a kindred spirit. Thank you, God. Now, another quality that I love about Karen is that she is positively committed to making a difference in the world, and in particularly making a difference, making an impact in terms of giving back and serving others to transform their world. When you hear her story, you will learn why she's so fired up about making a difference, about making an impact on the world in this way. We are truly blessed to have her as one of our honored guests on the show. In many ways, in her love for people and serving others, Karen pulls together many of the threads of what my own life and work are all about. In fact, you've heard me talk about these threads and themes on this show. The themes of gratitude, love, authenticity, courage, generosity, compassion, hope, and possibility. Can I just tell you something? Karen and I had a fabulous conversation. I'm so excited to have this amazing person, this life-changing leader with us today. This is going to be an incredible show. You don't want to miss a single word of it. So grab your earbuds and put on your walking shoes, or grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee or a nice cool glass of water. Put your feet up, relax in your favorite chair, and don't forget your pen and notepad because you're going to want to take notes today. We are going to have a great time. Before I jump into today's show, I just want to take a moment to welcome you. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Dr. Gloria. This is Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'd like to extend a special welcome to those of you who are joining my show, or if you're joining Talk Network Radio for the very first time. You're in for a real treat. I'm excited to have you listening in today, and I'm deeply honored that you've allowed me to be part of your day, so you can be inspired by the ideas and resources to make your life count. Today's program is all about leadership, and our specific focus is about the impact of our choices on our life and the lives of others. Because how we live is how we lead. So making good choices makes all the difference as you continue on your own journey to become the leader in your own life and beyond. I just want to thank you for joining me today and welcome you to this show, Karen, and I'm just so delighted and pleased to have you as my very special guest. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Gloria. It's just a joy to be with you, and always love our conversations and looking forward to maybe diving a little deeper into some of our previous conversations.
Yeah. Well, could you just maybe say a little bit about your background, Karen, and what makes Pass It On so important for you, that whole notion of passing it on?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think we've talked. I have a big family. My parents, mom and dad, both been divorced and remarried, and so I have lots of siblings, lots of nieces and nephews, lots of aunts and uncles, and so the concept of being one among many, sometimes I've tried to find my own corner or find my own, I use the phrase, leave my fingerprint. So through my background of being an accountant, a bookkeeper, but now in particular more an entrepreneur, I've been trying to, in the circles of people in my life as well as the organizations that I've been involved in, always try to give something back or press something forward. In your terms, pass it on. And so whether it's for a fellow entrepreneur, whether it's for a student, I've always been kind of wanting to leave a little bit more than hopefully I've taken from my steps along the way.
Yeah, well, thank you. That certainly resonates with me, as you know, and
Yes.
I know it does with our listeners as well. And Karen, I would love to hear about your professional background, but before we go there, can we hear a little bit more about your journey? I know that you have had a lot of incredible moments in your life, and I'm curious about your stepfather saving a young person from drowning, and I don't want to steal the thunder from that story, but I would love to hear more about that, and I know that our listeners would too.
Oh, I would love to tell you the story because it really, it's one of those things where maybe something has happened in our lives early on and many years have come since, and it kind of falls into the back of the file cabinet, and until something like reading your book, pass it on, it then becomes back in the present again. So when I was probably in junior high school, we lived, my mom and my stepdad and my two sisters lived in a house right near a creek, a very low-level, small water flow until it rained. And when it rained excessively, it would rush. So people who lived in the area didn't really see it as anything of a problem and kind of took it for granted then when we had these huge storms that it could get overwhelming. And in this particular case, a probably same age or relatively same age as myself, young man, ended up walking through the park area where this creek typically flowed and had a seizure and fell close enough to the water where it swept him up. And my stepfather, who happened to be home at the time, saw the boy fall in the water. In fact, we lived right there on the street, so as he fell into the water, he went underneath the street. So my stepfather ran out of the house, crossed the street, over to the other side, and saw the boy floating up and down, and jumped in the water and pulled this young man out, and as well had to, help him get the water out of his lungs and kind of get him back around. And when the parents came to thank my stepfather, they asked, what could we do and how could we ever repay you and that kind of thing. And he very humbly said, nothing at all. It is only my prayer that at some point in my life, someone will be able to do this for my children, which in the big scheme of things is even more relevant of the fact that only had one daughter from my mom and my stepfather, but all of us were his kids. So probably 5 years later or so, I was in college, had a car accident, flipped my vehicle into the median in the middle of the night. It was upside down. No, I take it back. Turned over several times, but landed straight up. And behind us, with myself and two other people in the car, was a bus full of EMTs coming back from a conference who saw us come over the median and land. Because if you hadn't been driving, from what I understand, driving past in a relatively short period of time, was raining, you would not necessarily have seen the vehicle in the median. So, the story being for everybody else is I wouldn't be here if they weren't there. And to my mom and stepfather who drove to the hospital that night, my stepfather said out loud, the favor's been repaid. And my mother had forgotten.